And now we have the next talk about troubleshooting Icinga 2, and it will be held by a consultant of NETWAYS, and yeah, his name is Thomas Widhalm. Let's welcome him.
Thank you. So, about me, my name is Thomas Widhalm, as you just heard, but I like to hear my name, so here's double. I'm a senior consultant and lead support engineer at NETWAYS, so I have to deal a lot with troubleshooting Icinga. In the Icinga team, I'm a team member for QA and docs, in the docs team. As Leonard said before in the talk before, I'm the co-author of the Icinga 2 book in German. As Bernd said yesterday, German is easy, so go learn it and you can read it if you don't understand it by now. Yeah, my Twitter handle, email addresses, and most important for this talk, I really don't like to make slides. So don't expect too much. About the talk itself, I was very inspired about doing lots of real-life examples about troubleshooting, what we see in support, something like that. Then I got distracted a bit, and that was about best practices, and then about another bit, and another bit. So it might be a bit confusing. So I hope you all have to you'll find something you can take from it. If not, just go out there, there's food out there, and yeah, just tell me afterwards in the feedback. Okay, so today I'm going to tell you a lot of obvious things, like read the documentation, keep your accounts for web services and support portals at the ready, do your testing, do config checks, read your log files, so you'll all go like, yeah, oh please. So, if you all know how to do this, then why do I have to tell you? Because as a consultant and in support, we all see problems occurring all the time, where about, I said, let's be nice, about 50% of them could be fixed when someone kept to the things mentioned here. So I'll concentrate a bit about that. So what's this all about? Is Icinga 2 doing what I wanted to do? That's not that an easy question like many might think. If it isn't doing what I wanted to do, why? Then what can I do to make it work? Where can I get help? Yeah, okay, that's all the NETWAYS logo all about, but that's not the only source of help for monitoring. Maybe it's the best source, but okay. So, and what information can I provide if I need help? So, is it doing what I want it to do? The problem with Icinga, with many other mighty open source tools, is like with other open source tools, like with Unix, it's not Unix's job to do our job. We have to tell it what we want it to do, but it does what we tell it. If we don't know what we want, or if we tell it the right way what to do, then it might break. So think about what you really need, what you really want, and then learn how to tell your systems how to do this. And don't expect it to come out of the box. The flexibility is at a real high level, as most of you might know, but there's not so much coming out of the box working for everyone. There's a basic configuration coming with almost every open source tool, but this basic configuration might give you hints from where you can build on. This is not the thing you might use from the first day in production. Check what you really want to check. So, is pinging enough of some devices? Might be, most of the time it isn't. Do your basic OS checks. They are helpful most of the times. So like load, memory, disk, network, something like that. Hardware checks, basic hardware checks. Then a bit more sophisticated, reachability of services. Is my web server reachable? Is my database reachable? All of that stuff. But that might even not be enough. Then you have details. How long is my certificate going to be valid? What status code is my web server delivering? Is there a string I'm expecting on the website I'm checking? And so on. There are many things you can check in more detail, and that might be a very good idea. It's not always, but most of the time. And you can do end-to-end monitoring. Send an email, receive an email, check if you really received it. If yes, okay, your mail system might be working. And you have the business processes, the business process module to aggregate those information. On the one hand, for you to see, okay, I have a problem, I have some outage, but is it really affecting my whole system, or is it just that I lost a bit of redundancy? And it's a good thing to show people that are not so familiar with technical things, let's say. Most of them are running around in suits all the day. Many people who are not system administrators or systems engineers or what have you don't know that technical things break. And it's okay that they break, because we have redundancy. So just some sort of alert might really be totally okay. But you have to inform the right people that they have to fix it to get the redundancy back. But you might not want to show an outage of just one disk drive in a big RAID system to everyone. So this slide is about think about what you need. I don't want to tell you it's not okay just to ping a system. Sometimes it is. But really rethink what you created. We see a lot of setups where someone is just pinging a host and says, okay, it's answering me, so it has to be alive. That's not always the case. Sometimes you can't do more. Yeah, common mistakes, it's pingable, or just I can't connect to the port, so it has to be okay. Rethink. What can you do? Think about what you're monitoring. Think about if you're monitoring everything you need, then think again and then think again and talk to people. We heard that in a lot of talks today and yesterday. Talk to the people in the teams. They know best what they want to have monitored. They don't know what your monitoring can do. You gotta tell them and find a solution together. That's a hard thing, I know, but it's maybe the only way you can really get a fully functioning monitoring system. And do your tests, and not just total blackout of your development environment, but just turn off a bit of a thing. Turn off just the database, block connections with the firewall, delete parts of the configuration, all the things that can happen. If you have a good testing setup, just fiddle around with the hardware. Just pull a disk or something like that. And then test if you really got alarmed when you broke something. And if you didn't, maybe in testing, but also in production, use this as a chance to improve your monitoring. If you had an outage and nobody recognized, then rethink what you're monitoring. What can we do? From experience, I can tell you, you will always be able to build a monitoring system that will inform you about the outages you need. But that's a hard thing, and it's an ongoing process. It will never be done. It will never be finished. It will live with your whole environment. But don't overdo it. It's another thing we see a lot. You have a big switch with, say, 64 ports or more. And first thing is monitor every port for errors, for connection, for what have you. Is it really what you need? Do you need to check if something is connected to switch port when you monitor the server on the other end? Probably not. So stay with monitoring those interfaces you really need, and leave the others to another check. If you check something that is dependent from the switch port, then it might be okay to just monitor this host. Think a lot, and really a lot, about check intervals. If you talk to our customers about check intervals, it's a lot of the time, okay, I need close to real time. Maybe 2 seconds between checks. It's okay for Icinga. You can do that. We have tested that with dummy checks, and so you can do a lot of checks within a very small time frame. But you might not have any benefit from it, but producing load. You have your plugins to run on your hosts, you have your systems that have to reply to your connections, and so on. You will produce a lot of load, but you have no benefit because if you don't have, some of you might have, if you don't have a big hall with support engineers who only look at monitors and waiting for this one bulb to go red, then maybe being informed after 1 minute or 2 minutes is totally okay, because no human can react in this time. Sometimes you need it. I know there are special cases where you need to get informed really fast. You might find a solution to this and just have check intervals for some special checks, but not for everything. It's no use checking updates every 5 minutes. You can even kill hosts by over-monitoring, especially those answering with big API calls, lots of SNMP or something like that. If you hammer down on those hosts with your checks, you might really degrade the performance of the monitored systems. So really go to reasonable intervals. What's reasonable is really dependent on what you have. There are defaults in Icinga. You can use that for a start and then rethink. And think about that your graphing tools might have to be adjusted to that. They expect your data coming in a certain interval. Another thing, I'll come back to that again and again. Monitor your monitoring. Believe it or not, we see a lot of monitoring systems that are not being monitored at all. Not by itself and not by something else. So, monitoring hosts are production hosts. Treat them like they deserve. And don't forget about satellites or something other that might lead to an outage in your monitoring. Yeah, always. About high availability. Sometimes we hear, okay, I have highly available monitoring, I don't need monitoring. Okay, yeah, you do. I won't need monitoring to tell me that my whole VMware farm went offline. Yeah, that might be. The phone might ring before the monitoring will show that the whole farm went offline, or the whole data center went offline, or got burnt down, or something like that. Maybe not. But you might really want your monitoring to show you what exactly went down. In the first moment, I was a systems engineer in a former job, and we had that whole rack just went down or something like that. Most of you might have experienced that as well. And then the first thing is, oh God, there's broken a big thing. But what exactly is the problem? Monitoring helps you with finding what really is your problem. It's the same with restarting. During a restart of some major system, your monitoring system might help to show you what is online again. You know, if you restart the whole data center, there's something you might have to start beforehand. Start your DNS servers, start your directory services, and so on. And if this is online, you can tell other people, okay, now you can start your hosts. And this is exactly where your monitoring can help you with communicating between teams and showing you what is really operational again. To clustering, as I said, I'll tell you a lot of obvious things, but we get it over and over again. Clustering or many high availability solutions don't they don't give you the means that you never have to bother about these things again. It's the other way around. High availability helps you during an outage of one of those hosts if it's breaking down or something like that. But during the day, you'll always have to monitor it, to be nice to your clusters just to check if they're doing well and so on. If you leave most of the cluster tools or replication tools alone, sometimes they go berserk or break down or something like that. So high availability normally brings more work to do than less. It just helps you to keep outages short. And a thing we have from our experience, consider about having monitoring hosts really autonomous. A lot of companies are now having the policy of virtualizing everything they have. But maybe you want an outside view. What if your virtualization farm breaks down? You might not be informed. So maybe have monitoring on hardware with an extra UPS, with an extra SMS modem directly attached to your monitoring host. You might not have all of your monitoring hosts this way, but at least one. Then a thing we're arguing a lot, and there's no right way to do it, as well as with the monitoring about how TP monitoring your things. We see a lot that people want to separate the OS from the services running on the OS. The ops guys just want to be informed if something breaks down on the servers, if a disk runs full or something like that, and the application team doesn't want to know about it at all, and the other way around. But if you have more information, it might really help with identifying what's going wrong. If you just get a mail that your database just went down, you might start searching just because you weren't informed that the disk on the same host is full. But if you would have gotten that, you just didn't have to search. So think about if a hard separation about informing one team and only the other team is the real thing for you. It's the same with which states to notify. I see users that say, okay, I really only want to have a notification when a service is critical. Then check your plugins if critical is the output in the event you want to monitor. Not all plugins are written the same. They're all from different authors, and there's a bit divergence in interpretation what critical and warning and unknown means, even if it's in the guidelines. And don't flood your users with alarms. Use dependencies. Don't escalate everything. On passive data, just don't rely only on passive data. If you get SNMP traps or logs or something like that, it's a cool thing. You get more information about your systems, what's going on. But if you don't get any information, it could mean all is well or all is dead. So use active checks. Then, okay, your Icinga broke down. It's not working. Something is going wrong. You don't get any new notifications. Why is it not working? First thing we hear, okay, you have a bug. We have a bug, something broke down. Icinga is broken, Icinga is bad. Nope, not all the time. Sometimes it is bugs. But most of the times it's configuration errors or monitoring the wrong things, just as I said before, or someone didn't monitor the monitoring system, and there's something else, and there are lots of reasons, and then there are bugs. So, bot configuration errors. Who's running Icinga 2 daemon -C or -C every time they change something in the configuration? Okay, at least some. I believe the other ones have automation and have this automated. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay. You have the Icinga check to check the configuration on the satellites, because through the config sync mechanism, sometimes you might even break the configuration on the satellites. That's a hard thing to achieve, to break this, but it's possible. So you really want to do this check again. One thing I often see, especially with new users, is it's a bit tricky to find out on what node your plugin is running. So Icinga says, okay, I have to run check disk to find out the filling levels of the disk, runs it on the master node, and just believes that this plugin might magically get the data from the other node. So if you're new to Icinga, try to get used to how you can direct where the plugin is run. And use Icinga 2 object list a lot if your apply rules do what you need. If your objects are really created that you that you need, this is really helpful. Yeah, running plugins on the wrong host and running checks, as I said before, that don't go critical, even if there's a critical outage. So check what the outputs of your plugin in different events are. Yeah, and there are some metrics from services which still might be okay, even if the service doesn't work anymore. So best example maybe is the web server. Again, you have some content management system in the background, but your web server is still giving you 200 codes because it does serve something. Common problems on Icinga hosts: disks running full, broken database connection, broken database replication. These are all things we see a lot. They can all be mitigated by monitoring the monitoring hosts fully. So you can react and don't have to search where the problem is. It's the same with high availability solutions. Dead satellite sometimes. Yes, sometimes the notification system breaks, so the mail server or something like that, which forwards your messages, breaks. So you will want to have a redundant way of sending your notifications. And with almost every service, time. I think it's 2017, but it's still a thing to tell people run NTP on all your servers and monitor NTP if it's still running. I saw a lot of broken NTP daemons, and that's really hard to debug. It's not that hard, but you don't think about it. So you've searched for all the problems, but don't consider network and time. So. But monitoring Icinga, use some basic checks like with any other Linux host, but focus on I/O and disk usage. This are the main problems we see on Icinga hosts. Use the internal checks. Icinga 2 brings some internal plugins. You can run them really often, really fast. I'll come to that again later. Then monitor all the services Icinga uses to run. Monitor your database, the IDO connection to the database, monitor your Grapher, your web server, and so on. And as I said, you'll want to have redundant ways of alerting. SMS, some messenger, PagerDuty, Telegram, what have you. The internal Icinga check helps you checking if the configuration is correct, if Icinga could reload the current configuration, especially useful on satellites. You get lots of performance data, which help you with debugging, and it shows you the version. So if you don't have some sort of software management on your nodes, you can use the check to show you which host is running which version of Icinga, and which you still have to upgrade. The cluster check is there to check if all known endpoints are connected. So don't run it on a master with thousands of nodes connected to it, because it will always be critical. But run it on small satellites which just have a few nodes connected. The cluster zone, use it on parent hosts if the adjacent nodes are connected. So you see if your connection breaks, if something gets between it, if your firewall blocks, or if you have an error with the connection. It's really helpful. The IDO database check, run it on every host that has an IDO connection, obviously. I'm telling you about the IDO check because it's relatively new. We have lots of setups that started with Icinga 2.0 or 2.1, and the IDO check is new. And if you don't check your documentation regularly and don't read the release notes, but I assume you're all reading all the release notes of Icinga. Okay, sure. Okay, then you will know all about the IDO check. This is especially helpful with the performance data of the check, especially pending queries. You see if your database can't keep up. It's a very common problem that you have a slow database. This is what Bernd talked about with the Icinga DB, which might fix, or I really hope that this will fix the problem in big environments. But we see medium environments where there's MySQL or MariaDB or Postgres installed with default values, started with default, and this is really not the way you want to run it on even a medium-sized host. Icinga is fast enough, but your database has to keep up. So do a bit of tuning for your databases, and at least run this IDO check, which shows you when the database isn't able to keep up. Then check the services Icinga uses. As I said before, database. And there's two things. You can check if your Icinga host is able to connect to your database, like with check MySQL, a very basic check, and then use another check to monitor the internals of the database. About bugs. Almost every time you see error messages, you see log entries, you see crash dumps, you see Icinga failing or something like that. It's just not bugs not that often occur just out of nothing. Most of the time you have some hints that you hit a bug. So go to the GitHub, to issues, review if someone else hit the same bug. If not, file a bug report. Try to reproduce it. There are background boxes. And try to reproduce. I'll come back to that a little bit later. And file a bug report. Even if you have a support contract. Why? It's on the upcoming slide. So, about Vagrant. Who knows Vagrant? Cool. If you don't know it, get to know it. It's a really easy way to deploy VMs just for testing and throw them away if you don't need them anymore, and redeploy them and something like that. You can very easily build your own boxes, and especially to DNS Michi, thanks, he built he builds Vagrant boxes for different setups for Icinga. Single node, cluster node, other high availability things. You can build, you can just fire them up, test something, throw them away. So most of the problems are not OS specific. The Vagrant boxes are CentOS 7, but if you run on Debian or Gentoo or what have you, you can use the boxes for most of the tests as well. Then why is it not working? One of the major things is to sort out what sort of not working. So you all know when someone tells you, okay, my system broke down. So yeah, what did break down? Think about that before you try to get help. Do configuration checks, do logs. If Icinga 2 is not running, if you have no notification, maybe the upstream tools are dead. About logs, collect them. You will want to collect monitoring logs as well as others. For the Elasticstack, Logstash rules are coming up. If they are ready, then we'll announce them in the NETWAYS blog. maybe in the Icinga block too. For Greylog, there are no rules by now, but maybe. Then monitor the logs. Just collect them and check if there are any error messages in them. You've seen in other talks some ways to integrate Elasticstack and Greylog into Icinga. Use this. Use the debug log very sparsely, only if you really need it. It produces a lot of I/O and fills your disk. And use the Icinga beat for an even deeper look into Icinga to see what's going on. It helps you debugging and tuning. But monitoring Icinga, there's a really thorough article on the Icinga documentation. You can click to it. You don't have to write this link down. There are lots of hints how to monitor the Icinga host. You might not have to implement all of them, but at least the most important. I just didn't want to type all the things on this website because it's really dynamic and it gets adapted a lot to newer versions. So go there and go there back again after some updates. Maybe there are new things to consider. Prepare for complete loss of Icinga 2. So have a way to inform you when Icinga 2 is totally down. Some users have people looking all the time at dashboards or Icinga web. Others use things like another monitoring tool or an extra Icinga instance running somewhere else, or maybe on the NETWAYS web services, or some SMS gateways. They have a small monitoring solution which at least can tell you if Icinga is still running. Very important, reduce oddities in your setup. You know, it's really flexible, but don't stretch it. So try to stick to standards as much as it gets. Use the official packages, don't build your own. It's possible to build your own packages, but we see a lot of problems from that. If you build your own, you might have the correct versions of the libraries needed for building packages, but vendors patch their libraries before they ship it, and it might not be the same which was used when building on a build server. So this is a thing hard to debug because you don't think about that someone replaced the packages, and it might go well for months and then break. So, and use the certificates from the Icinga CA or from the Puppet CA, just as Leonard told us before, but don't try to create certificates from your corporate certificate authority or something like that. You don't really have any security benefit from that. Stick to those certificates and you'll save you a lot of trouble. What can I do? Yeah, if it breaks down, you go normally like that. Troubleshooting section of Icinga. I wanted to build the whole talk about this, but as you see, it came out a bit differently. Go to the documentation, read the troubleshooting maybe before something breaks. So you know where to look. It's dynamic as well, so review it from time to time. As I said, always run daemon -c when changing something. Use a version control for your configuration if you don't use something like Director. Use Git or CVS or what have you. Then read your log data. If it breaks, there are lots of meaningful log entries in Icinga when something breaks that tells you what to do. And don't forget about the system logs. So if Icinga is not working, it might not always be a problem with Icinga, but you might have a problem with your disks or something, with your network card or something like that. Review them. I told you I'll tell you obvious things, but it's a thing we see a lot in questions in different channels, which can be fixed by this. As I said, I/O is the most common bottlenecks. network might be an issue too. Out of memory is a thing. Misconfigured database host or something like that going out of memory, and then the service just dying. With single checks, yeah, test your plugins manually by running them on the command line if they really work. But use the Icinga user. Run it as a Icinga user because you're checking if Icinga has the correct permissions, but that's the obvious reason. But there's another one. Some plugins, it's very few plugins, but some create log files, temporary files, and if you run it from the wrong user, you can't run it again as a Icinga user because those files aren't writable anymore. And maybe you have a bit difference in reality. So check the configuration on your disk and check what Icinga is seeing. This is a very rare problem. It has to do with config reload problems or something. There was once a bug long ago, but if you really can't figure out what's going on, try to check the configuration with the check commands with object list and check the API. Question the API for the current data because the API knows what's really going on in the Icinga daemon, and the configuration might not be the current version of the configuration used. For that, create a curl.rc file so you don't have to look for passwords or have to skip certificate authentication and so on. I've never seen a curl.rc file at the customers. Does anyone use this? Nope. Okay. Hopefully you do after this. So, where can I get help? If this is you when Icinga breaks, the discussion boards, monitoring portal, there's mailing lists, and there are Icinga partners. All of these channels can help. Most of them help really quickly, so there's a lot of options. And be prepared. Don't wait for Icinga to break down and then think about where you can get help, because common reactions is, okay, just headless chicken mode, running around, okay, something is dead, I don't know what to do. Fix this by having your disaster plans ready, fix this by rehearsing, by doing tests, by having all your account data where you need it. It's the same with what's my GitHub account again. You want to file an issue, want to file a bug report because you have a problem and you have to report it, and then the search starts. Yeah. Again, yes, please. Yeah, but I've seen it a lot. So keep your data where you need it. Another thing I hear a lot, if I hit this problem, then someone else will, and the other one will surely file a bug report. Nope. Do it as quick as possible, because you can help others and you get your help yourself as quick as possible. And don't forget, the Icinga team is always working to give users not too hard experience. So if you say, okay, I didn't understand the documentation, there's something wrong, or if you find a typo or something like that, you can file issues for changes in the documentation. Good thing is to get involved early. Become a regular reader and post on the boards, on the lists, become part of the community, communicate with the people so you get informed about bugs when they come up, you get informed about upcoming features, something like that. You can help others, you get really used to be using the support channels, and you won't have to run around in headless chicken mode when something breaks. You can contribute to Icinga, not only code, but documentation, what have you. And there's the next level. You can get on the team as well. So if you contributed a lot and you said, okay, I want to be part of the team, then you can ask for it. You don't have to. You can do all of the contributions even if you're not on the team. And by far not every member of the team is a developer. So we need all kinds of people who are really enthusiastic about Icinga. About support contracts, that's I think the only slide about that. It's not a commercial. Icinga itself has no support contracts. It's the partners who have. That might be obvious to people around here in Germany, but we get a lot of requests on the Icinga team. How can I buy a support contract for Icinga? And then we refer to partners. We have synchronized service levels, so every partner has about the same SLA. If you have to create, if you find something that will need an issue, create it yourself. Normally you can ask your partner to do it, but I think it's a really good thing to do it yourself, because the development in the Icinga team always says if we have to code something, we will need an issue for that. If the user doesn't create it, then someone else has. So do it yourself, and it's a good thing because you really get informed about changes in the issue early, and you can provide more information. The developers can ask you directly, and it's not there's not an extra hop. You can get a reputation for filing, for finding bugs, and so on. It's a cool thing to do. Then, what information can I provide beforehand when I have to file an issue or open a ticket with some of the support partners? Review the documentation again. In the troubleshooting section, there's a lot about what information you have to provide. But here are the most important bits. What did you expect Icinga to do? What didn't Icinga do? That's not always as obvious as it sounds. So in support, we often ask, okay, what tells you that Icinga isn't working? You say it's not working, so why? So this is a crucial part to tell the people that should help you what you did Icinga expect to do. Then information about your setup. Do you have high availability? A cluster, what features are activated? What database? Is this highly available? Something like that. Configuration. Do you use Director? Do you use the API? There's so many different Icinga setups. You might all think your setup is the only way to go, but there are really, really a lot of different setups. Do you have satellites? How many? Are they highly available? What agents do you use? What operating systems are they running? Which grapher? We had some problems with graphers in 2.7 when the connection got a bit slow. So it was a really important hint for debugging. Your environment, which operating systems are you running? What software versions do you have? And so on. Virtualization, is it on hardware? Is it virtualized? The obvious things, but yeah, we have to ask them a lot. Do you have any oddities? No certificates from the Icinga CA or something like that, custom built packages. But there's help. You can automate this. Maybe in the future. Not right now. There's a script. Right now it's in my GitHub account, but I try to move it as soon as possible. Because this was just a quick hack after some support session. The idea was to have a script that gathers all the necessary information for someone to help you without overwhelming the people. You could just give someone the whole configuration, and it didn't even contain all the data needed, and information there is hard to find. So this is from preview version. It's just running on a host. It's telling you the basics. What operating system, how much memory, what packages are they signed by the Icinga key, what versions are active, and so on. It's not production ready, but we hope to get it out as soon as possible. And because my ego dictates me to. No! No, the picture is gone. If you have been in the previous talk, there was a big, nice picture of the new layout of the Icinga 2 book. There's coming a second edition, which should include a troubleshooting section, and we're still trying to get an English version. So we get that a lot. Where's the English version? Okay, we always tell people to learn German or Austrian. It's a nice thing. Both languages work with the book, but yeah, there will be an English version. Maybe not for sure, but very probably. Okay. Any questions?
So yeah, I don't have a question actually. Maybe I have an addition that came into my mind while listening to your talk. FileBeat 6.0 was released currently, and it has a Icinga module built in, which will read and parse the Icinga log files. So what you have to do is just start FileBeat and enable the Icinga module, and you will get parsed Icinga log files into your Elasticsearch and Kibana.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
Sorry.
So, more questions?
I tried to make it quick because it was the last talk on the day, and I'm very thankful that you all stayed here with me. So maybe it's a good thing to release people early.
Yeah, okay. So, thank you, Thomas.